What's going on, everybody? This is Lady Luck here again. Thank you all so much for tuning in with me. Happy Saturday. Hopefully, you guys are getting out and enjoying some of the sunlight. Just want to kind of go over a couple videos from Mark Lamont Hill. I personally just believe he's a complete bootlicker for Umar. And the title of this video is all about, grown men like him feeling like they can't tell Umar the truth. I don't know why. It's my understanding that Mark Lamont has given him money for the school that has never opened and never will open. And as opposed to him asking him challenging questions and trying to get, information out of him or researching information and reading, you know, um, court dockets online about the payment plan he claims is somehow in effect. He's going on his platform and being a complete disservice to his supporters and members. He did an interview with two guests on his platform, on his podcast, and it was almost like a shit show. And I see three grown men almost afraid to kind of say what needs to be said. Just make it plain and speak the truth. Because when queens like myself have to do it, then we're, you know, seen as hardcore for sitting here and challenging men. We want grown men to be the ones challenging him. But you get men like, Mark Lamont and Charlemagne and, you know, these little goofies on the internet sitting here, acting as if Umar pays their bills that are completely disingenuous. And they act like they're afraid to tell him the truth, demand some level of accountability, to get expense reports, or why are the expenses on the tax forms blank? Why is everyone saying that he is on a payment plan? Why do people think he actually owns the school buildings? I pulled up the deed. I did a video analysis of LeBron James School, the I Promise School, versus Umar's FDMG. And you see a complete huge difference in just the tax documents that I go over. There's no reason for Umar's tax documents to have $0 expenses on 5 years of taxes for a nonprofit organization if he is putting money into the school. And now he wants to throw a tantrum because he's being reported to the IRS. But yet these grown men aren't asking him those same questions. I'm looking at these tax statements. Why are there no expenses on here? How do you expect people to feel comfortable that you're doing the right thing with the money you're constantly asking us for, but you can't even list on tax forms how you're spending the money, the expenses, where is it going? So we're going to check out these two videos. I promise you all, if I have to have a headache, you all are going to have one with me. All right. I got halfway through the first video. I haven't even seen the second one with the Joe Budden podcast. But Mark Lamont is insufferable. And I'm like, he's like a little scared little boy, scared to just say what needs to be said here. And he just comes off like the absolute bootlicker, and it's disingenuous. After 11 years, if he doesn't have the wherewithal to know this school is never going to open, then, and I highly doubt he would send his children to that school. I highly doubt he would send his children to FDMG Academy. I highly doubt it if it were to open. But he won't even ask tough questions to Umar, and he claims to have some sort of a kinship with him. And let's not forget the interview that occurred with Lord Jamar on his podcast with Umar, where Umar specifically stated that he doesn't need all of that, extra outside assistance and resources that Jamar was trying to, suggest to him. He simply said, "Hey, we just need more money." Okay, then you probably not going to get that. You're going to have to figure out something else. But yet, no school after 11 years. See, here's the problem. No one's addressing the fact that he was hit with a cease and desist order in Pennsylvania. And why was he hit with that cease and desist order? He didn't even want to turn in the documentation to the agency to ensure that he could continue to collect contribution dollars for that school. And the idea of this school is it's just a pyramid scheme. I mean, he has tier packages on his website, but no school website. Where's the school website? Simple things that you would think will be in place if someone's to take you remotely seriously. Why isn't Mark Lamont asking him, where's the school website? You expect someone to take you seriously with the school. You don't even have a website. So here we are. The women have to do it. Let's get it done. All right. You guys make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the Lady Luck Club because I'm about to go raw in on this because Mark Lamont is being a whole coward. And it's annoying. It's annoying. It's disgusting to see that. And it's annoying that you have grown men that act like they're afraid, to put Umar in his place or to tell him the truth or to say anything of value to him that, I mean, he's not going to answer any questions at this point. We all know that after the interview he did with Jamar, we can clearly see he has no intention on opening the school. And then he gets defensive when you ask him questions or you try to offer him suggestions. And I believe that he was just completely disrespectful to Jamar. And Jamar handled it well, but you should have went off on his ass. You have nothing to lose. He does not pay your bills. So, all right, let's get to it. This is the first interview, the first video with Mark Lamont, and I don't know who the other two gentlemen are, but all right, let's go.
For the last few weeks, there has been controversy around Dr. Umar.
Imani, hold on. Chris Emden. Then you have Mark, and then you have Imani? Imani? Okay.
And his school. But the reason why I'm bringing him up today is because according to my sources, and these are internet sources, fairly reliable ones, but I haven't directly contacted the state of Delaware, so I can't say first person that this is accurate. But based on the sources I've seen in the documents they provided, it seems that Dr. Umar has entered a payment plan with the state of Delaware. It seems that his school is no longer on the auction list, and it seems that FDMG lives another day. Thoughts, reactions?
It doesn't live. FDMG is not officially opened as a school. I don't care what's on the 501c3. It's not opened. It's not even ready to be inspected. It's been 11 years total. The last, 5 years, 6 years? Since 2019. 6 years, Mark. 6 years. And it's not opened. It hasn't even had an inspection done. Any other sane, normal, reasonable individual would say after 6 years, you would think that you would have all the ceiling tiles in place, all the painting done, the electrical work done. He didn't build these school buildings up from scratch. He acquired 2 buildings, these bandos, that were already built to be schools. And since, Mark Lamont wants to sit here and talk about what was paid off, and he hasn't checked it himself, yeah, well, Queen LLC has to do it. So here's the case number: N as in Nancy, 25J as in Jack -02114. You guys can see here. This is on the courtconnect.courts.delaware.gov website. City of Wilmington v. FDMG. This is from the monitions judgment that has been satisfied. And if you scroll down here, this is the docket entries, just kind of giving some notes on the activity of the case itself. You can see that a power of attorney was filed on August 20th. See here, satisfaction of judgment accepted. And then here you see On the same date at 2:58, judgment satisfied. Docketed August 21, 2025. This judgment, debt, interest, and costs fully paid and satisfied on the 20th of August by Colleen Redmond. Pro the notary, power of attorney. Umar didn't pay for shit. The power of attorney, Colleen Redmond, paid it because his accounts were frozen. Remember, how did he pay all this money up? And his accounts were allegedly frozen, and he was begging for money for his personal use and for people to still donate to the FDMG school. So, how did he pay off in full? Fully paid and satisfied. Where are you getting this payment plan thing from? The courts would notate a payment plan if you were on a payment plan. They would not have said fully paid and satisfied. Fully paid. Fully is the word. Fully paid and satisfied is the word. They wouldn't even use this terminology because it would be inaccurate to the court record. If you don't know how courts work, then call the court and ask them. They would indicate a payment plan if it were a payment plan. Because this would be misleading. Most people would think fully paid. Okay, so it's paid off. That doesn't give you indication that it's a payment plan. And there's no reason to mince words when it comes to the court. So why couldn't he just look this stuff up himself? This has to be the weakest display of anything ever. Back to it.
Breaking news. So thoughts, reactions.
Congrats to the brother. I hope the school opens.
It's never going to open.
I love the effort. I'm just waiting for the school to open. And I look forward to the day that it does open. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a beautiful idea, especially when we talk about just passing on history and legacy, and those names alone being attached to the school is a part of history and our legacy. So I just hope that at some point we do get an opening of the school so that kids can go in there and be educated.
I will say one thing.
As
a person who's like works in education,
this is
and
terrible.
has been in that field my entire life. I started teaching when I was like 22. You know what I mean? I think it's really important for us as a public to inform ourselves on what is required to provide our children with the type of education that allow them to have a sense of self, a sense of culture, a sense of history, and academic success. And there's certain things you can look for in people, organizations, etc., that would indicate to you that they have the capacity to fully operate a school in a way that would make children well. And I would say, if when you look critically at those individuals or those proposals, and they don't show any indication that they have the capacity as far as pedagogically, structurally, the things you need to operate a school with
logistics and resources and smart individuals that understand the law and education and finance and HR. How would you even vet staff and teachers that you're hiring? E-Verify costs money. You can't hire registered sex offenders. How would that go? How about the implementation of some sort of transportation system? You don't have any of that in place because he was never going to take this seriously to open a school. It was always a pyramid scheme. He doesn't even have a school website. Let's start with the fact that there's no school website. Where is the school website, Umar? Prince of Pan Crust Pizza. Where is the school website? You don't even have a domain with a school website. So how in the world is Mark Umar thinking that a school is going to be open with no website? He had a website. You know what happened? He pissed somebody off and they purchased the domain of it. Now it goes to their YouTube channel. But he doesn't care because he knows I'm not opening this school up. I just want the money. Mark Lamont, you should not feel stupid about giving him money. You need to be honest because you're being a disservice to your entire platform. And you're feeding the trolls and the cult members that are just diehard brainwashed people because they want to ignore the facts. Why couldn't you just pull up the court docket like I did and read it? You're not a stupid man. But you come off as if you want to be oblivious to the truth because you don't want to face how you will really feel about it. If you were to learn all the money you've given him, he spent it out on going to Ghana, on trips, on women, and on food. Why not just hold him accountable for it? File a complaint to the IRS. It's called Tax Form 13909. Stop being a coward. You're a grown man. He doesn't pay your bills, so you owe him nothing. Grow up. We want men to take the lead on this. But if these are the men that are taking the lead on this, I'm concerned. I don't know the other two. But Mark Lamont and Charlemagne and those who continue to see him make excuses for him, I'm concerned.
Those who will inherit the earth. If there's something that says, ooh, that don't seem like they got that right, I would implore you to not.
He's been begging. Send
your child there. And I would implore you to not have expectations that said structure would actually open or operate.
Can I ask a question real quick to both of you guys? You guys, doctorates, you guys are, you've been through years, decades of schooling and education and have passed down teachings. Is Dr. Umar doing a disservice by trying to do this all on his own? Is there a place where
he's a complete disservice by telling people he's going to open up the school when he knows he's not going to do that? So, yes, yes, he is. See how easy that was, Mark? I feel nothing by saying yes that easily. Yes, he is a complete disservice to humanity.
He could try to get some other people in who are well more informed on how to build and give the infrastructure needed. Like the meaning and what he's trying to do is commendable. But do you think he's doing a disservice? Because at this point, for a lot of people, it just looks like a sham. If we're being honest,
it is a sham.
You're passing around the plate a little bit too much.
And that's an interesting question. And I just want to read one of the comments.
It is a sham.
From Jamila here, who said, and I tend to agree with her. She said, "We haven't seen anything to make us distrust Dr. Umar."
How you tend to agree with this? We haven't seen anything to make us distrust Dr. I'm not even gonna call him doctor because he hasn't earned that degree. Umar, believe him and support him until you have a tangible reason to do otherwise. Where's the school website? Where's the financial plan on how he plans on bringing in money to pay the teachers and the staff? What is the plan on getting the school accredited? What's the plan on getting the school inspected? Why isn't he allowing anyone to go into the school right now? Why are the two people who went, the Mademoiselle and Famer Tube, who went to tour the school on the outside, had to be subjected to threats and ridicule? Why does he continue to film outside the school in the middle of the night and refuse to open the doors to see what's going on the inside of the school? Why won't he show the financials and expenses on anything being done on the school? Why are the tax documents for expenses blank for 5 years in a row?
Believe him and support him until you have a tangible reason to do otherwise. Bill the Bunny asked me a question similar to what you're asking, Imani, which was, I don't mean to be messy, but Dr. Hill, I believe you are a donor. If I remember an interview you did with Dr. Umar in the Griot days, how do you feel? I feel like
an idiot.
I'm looking forward to the school opening. I'm looking forward to him getting the support and resources he needs for it to happen. Which speaks to Imani's question, which is, what would it look like to have an infrastructure in place to make it happen? I think, like many of us who operate in the space of pundit, public intellectual, scholar, whatever title we have, many of us work in isolation, and we're encouraged to work in isolation.
But that goes against what he's asking you. You want to work in isolation, but yet, at some point, but you need other people around you to help you with this. Did Mary McLeod Bethune build her school by herself, which is still standing as an HBCU? It's called Bethune-Cookman College, and just in case you didn't know that, Mark. But did she have to do all of that alone? You think she built that school alone? It's insane to think the schools that have been created and designed and built by Black people with predominantly Black dollars somehow had to be done in isolationism. But yet LeBron James, he got his school up and running from scratch. He did build his buildings from the ground up. Jalen Rose, same thing. Their schools are up and running in less time. Umar's been raising money for FDMG for 11 years across 2 different states. You're not even asking, okay, let's read the cease and desist order and figure out why he was issued that. So that's the problem that I'm having. That the problem is there was a cease and desist order simply because Umar failed to submit paperwork and documentation to continue to take in contribution dollars in the state of Pennsylvania. It's insane. So you're talking about needing something tangible? Start with that. Because guess what he didn't do? He didn't violate it either, because he will be in jail.
And because many of the people who support us fervently because of the work we do as individuals, we start building our empires and our silos individually.
He's not.
And so it's like, if somebody believes in FDMG, that's Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey. If people believe in FDMG because they believe in Dr. Umar's vision and his work, then they want Dr. Umar to build a school. Now, if I'm Dr. Umar, what I would do is what he did, which is marshal the resources and try to build the school. The question is the person who has the intellectual vision and the political vision the person to actually do the day-to-day execution of the vision? And I think sometimes we put more on our shoulders than we can carry. I'm not saying that's Umar's case.
But that is Umar's case. He doesn't want the help. And if you were to see the interview he did with Jamar, Mark, you would know that. He already said he doesn't want all of that help. He just wants money. That came out of his mouth. So you're not doing your homework at all on this either. I see.
No, Dr. Umar's case. I've spoken to him about the school many years ago.
But you haven't asked some questions that are needing to be asked.
Or donated to the school. I'm not saying, I don't know his infrastructure, so I don't want to speak to it. But
ask
what it
about
looks like from the outside is that maybe he could use more.
Then ask him. Ask about his infrastructure. Mark, stop being a scared little boy. Don't let Umar punk you out, because that's what you sound like. Right now, scared little boy being punked out.
Or more people
that's how you sound,
volunteer their time. More people, because money's one piece of it, but also what would it look like to have someone who's doing the day-to-day while he's traveling the world, giving these brilliant talks, these brilliant speeches? What would it look like for someone else to be speaking to the state of Delaware? What would it be like for somebody else to make sure that they don't try to cut a backdoor deal to take his property, as he's alleging?
No one's taking his property. It's going to be repossessed if he doesn't pay the vacant registration fees and the utility bills that he's supposed to pay, like every other individual in the city of Wilmington. What the hell makes him an exception to the rule? He won't even do the documentation necessary to get a waiver if he's entitled to that. That's the ridiculous part about it.
Would it look like for someone to be recruiting teachers? Securing that building is no small thing. Mm-hmm. And I've been to that campus. I've walked in those doors. I've seen that school. That is a real thing.
You didn't
it's not
secure
a small
it.
thing.
It's
So I
under
respect
FDMG
that.
LLC.
I think maybe getting more help is something that all of us could do.
He doesn't want help, Mark. Go watch the interview he did with Jamar, because you seem to be very, very, very ignorant of all of the components you need to make an assessment about this at this point. He's already said he doesn't want that help. And he insulted Jamar and Jamar's father-in-law, who has schools and stuff. He's talking about, I know people with schools. He gave Jamar a hard time. You saying you haven't spoke to him in a while. You're not asking him questions that you need to be asking him, but you get on your platform and you sit here and to try to defend this stuff. Why? At this point, why? Where's the school website? I mean, that's the simplest thing that you can ask and get a clear answer on first. Why do we not have a school website? The school is never going to open. It's a pyramid scheme.
And it might serve us in the end. So I don't have a direct answer to your question in terms of whether it's true in his case, but I suspect that if he's like every other person I know, including the two people up here who I'm talking to, and myself, we could all probably benefit from delegating a little bit more. That's my take. Chris, what do you think?
No, I love that response. I think you're right. And bro, I think that marshaling the right folks and having the right team and having the right structure could bring the vision to fruition for people who want to send their kids to that kind of school. The thing about it is, right, when you're marshaling resources and the only resources that you're perpetually marshaling is financial, it leads people to think that that's your only interest, right? So if it's like, there's like, yo, I need y'all to send some money. Bet, bro, sent. but I'm not hearing the same energy around, yo, I need y'all to send, if you're interested in school leadership, if you have an expertise in this, right? So like, there's been no indication, like to Mark's like, yo, you need to have these things in place. And I would agree. But I think that there should be an equal amount of public request for support in all the things, so you can show us that it's not just about that one thing.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, I put in the chat there, I put the newest document so you can see it for yourself. It's what?
He can't be this dumb.
I'm sorry. Yeah, man, I'm listening.
What? Whatever. Like, did I miss something?
No, not wrong.
We're just light-skinned brothers laughing. That's
yeah,
all.
you know how it is.
I don't.
No, you don't. You don't.
No,
It's also a New York energy type thing.
Yeah, I'm like,
You're definitely disconnected. Fair enough.
But for everybody to know, what
so
I put in the
deaf.
chat was the latest document from the state of Delaware, which shows, let me say, alleging that it's from the state of Delaware. Again, I haven't authenticated this document, but other people have, which say that payment plan has been made and that they're no longer on the auction block, which for me is great, because the last thing I want to see is that property, which came out of people's pockets and came from the sweat and blood.
No, it didn't come from the sweat and blood of anything. Those school buildings were already built up to be schools. All he had to do was renovate them. You just don't want to feel stupid for giving him all the money you have given him. Question is, why aren't you talking to him recently? Why aren't you talking to him about the infrastructure or the logistics or a financial plan on how he plans on paying teachers and staff, offering benefits? Why aren't you talking to him about that? When is the last time you had a conversation with him? Why aren't you going on the court website and looking up the information regarding the judgments that have been fully satisfied? Why aren't you asking him, who's Colleen Redmond? Why aren't you asking him these questions here? These are simple questions. Simple questions.
And tears maybe of all the people, all the grassroots community, but especially Dr. Umar, who took the lead on this. I don't want to see that building go away. I don't want to see that building lost. So I'm grateful to everybody who made that happen. I'm glad
it's gonna go away.
that he's able to hold on to it. And I hope that the FDMG Academy is Academy or school. I hope the FDMG thrives and lives and hopefully opens very, very soon. And I personally will volunteer to work there, teach a course, and to do whatever.
Okay, why don't you go to the building and get a tour on the outside like Famer Tube did? Why don't the three of you get together and go to the building and record and do a live stream looking around the school building so you can see exactly why it's not going to open up very soon? Why don't you go out there and do that, Mark Lamont? You know, take Charlemagne with you. This is just, these are the grown men here in the room, still not able to really say what needs to be said fully. And whatever he's saying that makes sense, the guy in the hat here, with the fedora hat here, Mark just kind of dismisses it as, you know, he's stuck in some fantasy land and it's just ridiculous. You're a grown man. What are you scared of?
Is needed from me in terms of time. You know, the three things you want when you have organizations: time, talent, and treasure. Right? You want people to volunteer. You want people to lend their talent. You want people to donate money. I'm willing.
And he's been doing that for 11 years.
I'm glad. And remember, everybody.
I do not want to. The one thing I want to see the school open, but I also don't want to see this man fail or be wrongly criticized for just making honest attempts at trying to do something great. So, salute to him. I hope he's able to make this happen.
Salute to him indeed. And again, FDMG stands for Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey. It's a Black nationalist project, and that means something to me. It's about self-determination. It's about Kuji Chaguli.
But never mind the money that he's raised, that he has not shown any receipts or invoices for to show how he spent the money. And then, once again, why were those accounts allegedly frozen? What reason did he give? This is so ridiculous. It's not even funny. Okay. I wanted to go to the next video here.
Dr. Umar. What happened
this is on Joe Budden podcast, and they speak on Dr. Umar as well. So I'm going to speed it up just a little bit for the sake of brevity. I hope you guys, just so we can get through this. But all right. So Mark Lamont has not read his dissertation. And I heard that he tried to reach out to Johnny Walker Dredd about it, who I've had here on my platform at least twice. And it is absolutely appalling for him to try to defend Umar's dissertation as if he wrote it or had anything to do with it. Stop trying to defend that grown man. You're a grown man. He doesn't have to pay your bills, Mark. Maybe he does. Maybe he takes care of Mark. And debunk. Why didn't he just read this information before he went on this podcast? Once again, Mark, you are unlearned. You're uninformed. Reading is fundamental. Why not just actually contact them yourself? This is just sad. See, this is what happens when you want the real men to stand up against this pyramid scheme because, there's no school website still. And this is how they act. Like he owes him something. Just very cowardly. Court website and looked up how much he owed. Let's go back to it because Mark Lamont doesn't read. They sent him writs out, see, issued, returned. Because the address he gave, the P.O. box, they can't send out a writ to a P.O. box, Mark Lamont, in case you didn't know that. And then there's no one at the school building to accept service. And he runs from service in every case. But this isn't something that comes out of nowhere where you owe all this money from the judgment amount to the water and sewer charges to the exterior improvement charges to the vacant registration fee and civil penalties. This isn't something that happened within a month. This is over the course of months. This is a buildup. If you don't know how court works or how water bills work, I don't even know how else to put this. If you don't understand how we got to this point where he ends up having to face, some sort of a writ of monition and a judgment being entered against him to pay all this money, then you shouldn't be saying anything. Because you're only going to speak half of what you think you know. But you won't go on the court website and look up for yourself. Found joy. What's disgusting is you sitting here giving half truths and not giving full information, and you're not taking time to even research. And if someone says something that is a fact, despite how it sounds to you, somehow we're not supposed to say it, and it's taking joy in his downfall. No, he's aiding in that downfall. It wasn't a downfall or taking joy in reading the cease and desist order. You know why, Mark? Because people gave their hard-earned money to this clown who did nothing but spend it on stupid shit. Your daughter, your sister, your wife even go out on a $500 lunch date with this clown. You just kind of gloss over this stuff like that's not a big deal. It's a very big deal. His pattern of behavior shows his mind state, his mindset, and where he is. He's not here with us on earth. And you're excusing that and calling it, oh, you're just attacking and tearing him down. Why are people rejoicing in that? We're not rejoicing in anything. We're appalled at him perpetuating a pyramid scheme for 11 years, and you're too stupid to pick it up.
There are people who are like, I told you so, and then there are people who are trying to help. And it seems like the helping section is much smaller than the people who are talking shit. I'm just kind of witnessing the whole thing, trying to make sense of everything.
Shit, you idiot.
I don't want anybody to fail. I don't want him to lose his buildings. I don't want a school not to get built.
Why don't you ask him, why didn't you turn in all the documents needed before they issued a cease and desist order against you in the state of Pennsylvania, Umar? Why didn't you ask him that? If you read the cease and desist order, Mark Lamont, you will see what was needed. Do I need to pull it up? Mark Lamont is not very smart. Because this is all, all of this is in writing. It's not rocket science here. I will pull up the cease and desist order. I also have the deed where he's not listed on it as an owner. But, we've also read that horrible BS dissertation. That was garbage. You have people having to go out their way to try to figure out whether or not I'm gonna let this play until I get this this information up. But you have people trying to go out their way to get information just to help people from being scammed, while he sits here and dodges questions about expenses. How is that okay? Is it ever okay to get mad at your donors and contributors asking you to show proof that you're actually spending the dollars where it needs to go? Considering the fact that he's not even putting it on the taxes when he files taxes every year. But LeBron James don't have a problem doing that. Nope. Here's Umar's cease and desist order. Because, this needs to be done. You're talking about, I don't want nobody's downfall, but you're not even thinking about what he's done to contribute to his own downfall. So, since he doesn't want to hold Umar accountable or responsible, okay. Here it is, Mark Lamont, so you can see what you should be asking him the next time you speak with him, so you can stop walking around here like a big baby talking about, I don't want to see anybody's downfall. No one told him to not submit over these documents that led to the cease and desist order. At some point, you're going to have to take accountability, and he's going to have to take accountability. That's what it's called, accountability. Not rejoicing in a downfall, accountability. From the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Department of State, Bureau of Corporations and Charitable Organizations, regarding FDMG, on this 4th day of March 2022, the FDMG is not registered with the Department of State Bureaus, and I'm not going to read every word because Mark Lamont, you know how to read, of State Bureaus of Corporations and Charitable Organizations, and or has failed to submit all requested documentation to the Department of State, Bureau of Corporations and Charitable Organizations, or the Bureau of Enforcement and Investigation, in accordance with the Pennsylvania Solicitation of Funds for Charitable Purposes Act 10 PS Statute 162.1, etc., hereby orders Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey, RBG Leadership Academy, to immediately cease and desist from soliciting contributions on behalf of or as a charitable organization. It's right here, Mark Lamont, right here. Failed to submit all requested documentation to the Department of State. Why don't you ask Umar, why did he fail to submit all requested documentation to the Department of State? That takes action on his part. That's no one else's fault but his. And you talk about you don't want someone to fail? You're a coward. Mark Lamont is a coward. You're not going to put that on everybody else because we're bringing up the facts of what he failed to do. Such a cowardly thing to say. What do you owe him? You're sitting here like a little boy trying to defend another grown man who doesn't pay your mortgage. Or maybe he does. But you won't ask him, why did you fail to submit these documents in Pennsylvania that led to a cease and desist order? If all you had to do was submit documents, why didn't you do it, Umar? You don't even communicate with him regularly. So how serious are we supposed to take your ass?
I donated to FDMG. I certainly want FDMG to succeed.
I saw white supremacists make a video.
You wanted to succeed because you don't want to feel stupid for having given money to someone who used that money and abused it for other shit. He didn't put it towards a school. And he can't prove to you that he did. But you're not the only one, Mark Lamont. You don't think all the other donors feel some type of way? But they're not walking around here being oblivious either. They're saying, you know what? We gave money to this, and we realized that he has not done the right thing. He can't prove with any receipts or vendor invoices that it went towards the actual school. Now he's talking about his accounts are frozen along with the FDMG account. You think that he's only asked for money for himself personally once? You are lying through your teeth. And you have missed out on all other videos where he's asked for money for himself. You can't even prove that he wasn't using the FDMG funds for himself. Because why would both accounts be frozen again? You're not even asking questions to find out, Mark. Once again, you stated out of your own mouth, you haven't even talked to him. So what the hell are you defending? Coward.
Video saying that he's going.
Yes, I did. Come for me, bitch. I did. You're a coward. Analyzing it. And why are you defending it? You didn't write it. And if you did, that speaks a lot about your mentality as well and your intellect. Yes, because he keeps saying that he has all these degrees and accolades. He's a scammer. He's a con artist. Yes, we are doing that. He chose to be a public figure. He's subjected to criticism. It's called free speech. You don't like it. Take your little scary ass off the internet and go sit down somewhere. Absolutely.
It's like people have an obsession with him. Yeah. That I think, to me, this story should...
He's a con artist. You're sitting here defending him for no reason, and you're not calling that an obsession. You refuse to read and watch interviews where he himself said he doesn't want any other help aside from financial. He just wants money. What's the obsession in that? I want to see a transcript. I want to see proof that he walked across the aisle. Otherwise, that would be the biggest con to PCOM that the world has ever seen. A grown man get a doctorate degree and did nothing to earn it. Is that what you want to perpetuate, Mark Lamont? A supposed intellect? Is that what you're trying to perpetuate? Yes, we got it. You're welcome. The earning power has nothing to do with how he's spending it. Obviously, he's not spending it where it should go. And where are the expenses to show that he spent the money on the school itself? Where is the accountability from all the grown men in the room? But yet, when we start asking questions, though, it's an obsession because reasons. Mark Lamont can't define the word obsession, so I can't take him seriously on that. Because you don't know why they were frozen, you moron. You don't know why they were frozen. Mark Lamont is a joke. It's just, you can't help but to laugh at him at this point. Brainwashed is beyond the description to give him at this point. And then he claims he hasn't talked to him. This is how brainwashed you are. All because you don't want to feel stupid about having given him money to a school that you know will never open. And you're too scared to ask him, where are the expenses and the receipts and the vendor invoices at? Why didn't you submit documentation? You keep bringing that up. No, it's not about him being down. He failed to follow up on bills. He failed to pay the water bill. He failed to ensure the vacant registration fees were taken care of. He failed to ensure that the sewage bill was paid. He failed to stay on top of his responsibilities. He failed to do that himself, Mark Lamont. And you're sitting here still making excuses for him like a little boy. Is he your daddy? Is he your daddy, Mark Lamont? You act as if Umar's your daddy.
I was defending him this weekend because people were trying to. People without
why are you defending him?
Breaking down his side D piece, talking about whether he should deserve a doctorate. He does deserve a doctorate, and it's like, no, he doesn't. Who are y'all to judge? It's weird to me.
It's not a judgment. It's a matter of reading and understanding and comprehending that stupid dissertation is not worthy of a doctorate degree. It's absolute garbage. And you're not a smart man if you think that he deserves it from that dumb dissertation. And this is the same person trying to open a school. If he does not have the intellect to actually get a degree that he claims he's deserved and earned, then why should he be in charge of anyone else's education when his dissertation is a direct reflection of the work he's willing to put in to get a degree his damn self? So that's the end of that, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Mark Lamont is a joke. And I'm just going to keep laughing at him because for some reason he thinks reading a dissertation is a no-no. What an idiot he is. And a coward. Well, women like myself want are for real men to stand up to people like Umar. We can't get that because, those who are, they are. But people who have a lot more influence and a lot more reach, this is how they act. Like Mark Lamont. It's disgusting. And it's very cowardly. And yes, every single degree he says he has, we're going to get the dissertation for it. And there's nothing you can do about it. And until you learn to define the word obsession, I'm not going to take that seriously either. I think it's odd how you obsessively defending him. But I can explain exactly how you're doing it. You're not even explaining his failures. The things that he decided to not maintain responsibility and accountability for. Let's start with the expenses. Where did the money go? Why were the accounts frozen? Where's the school website? Why didn't he submit the documentation to avoid the cease and desist? These are questions you've never asked him. And it's high time that you start. Y'all hit that like button. And subscribe to the Lady Luck Club because we're coming in real and raw. I'm not sparing Mark Lamont from anything. He can kiss my ass. And if he thinks that, it's some obsession of reading a dissertation from a man who claims to be a scholar that wants to open up schools, and somehow we're not supposed to know what his intellect is, he's got another thing coming. You'll just be complaining all day on behalf of another grown man as a grown man yourself, like he's your daddy. Okay. You guys continue to take care of yourselves and stay safe. And until the next one, Lady Luck Club is out. Deuces.